Falling asleep may seem impossible at times, but there are a few simple tricks that you can try to fall asleep faster today. Let's explore 5 quick ones together. Your first issue could be that your body temperature is just too hot, or the environment you're in is just too hot. Now, towards the nighttime, our bodies will naturally try to cool themselves down. It's a signal to the body to start stimulating melatonin, which is your body's hormone to tell you that it's time to sleep, which makes a little bit of sense. If you take the entire day, typically the coolest part is at night. So if your body is hot or if it's in a hot environment, it's going to think that it's still daytime. So having a hot environment could really disrupt your sleep. Now, how can we fix this? A little fan could help. Say hello to my little friend. This little guy that's on a budget, I believe I got it for 40 bucks. Helps me cool down my body a lot faster when I'm trying to go to sleep. Now you can use this. Of course, you can use a ceiling fan if you have that. If it gets too hot, wear lighter clothing. If clothes are too hot, maybe consider, you know where I'm going with this. Just try to cool yourself down and maybe you'll see yourself falling a little bit faster. Tip number 2, avoid caffeine in the hours before you sleep. Now, caffeine can be incredible for giving us a jolt of energy and alertness, but the timing of our caffeine can really affect our ability to fall asleep fast. Now, some of the most popular forms of caffeine come in coffee. Coffee is one of the most popular forms that you can find caffeine in. Of course, there's decaffeinated versions of coffee, but the reason a lot of people drink coffee in the morning is because of the caffeine in it. Of course, you have energy drinks and a ton of other things that have caffeine in them, but coffee is a very common one. Now, what caffeine will do is it'll go to your brain and temporarily block your adenosine receptors. What? I'm sure you're asking what that is. Basically, what adenosine does is tell your body that you need to sleep. Now, the longer that somebody is awake, the more sleep pressure that they build up, which is your body basically telling you that you need to sleep. Now, what caffeine does is temporarily block this signal from your brain that you need to sleep. Hence why when you wake up in the morning and drink a cup of coffee, you automatically feel alert and a jolt of energy. And caffeine's effect can last from just a few hours up to 10 hours, just depending on how much caffeine you took and how your body reacts to it. So we can see the problem if we take caffeine a little too close to our bedtime. And I actually caught myself not too long ago falling for this exact same thing. One of the days late in the afternoon, I had decided to drink a cup of coffee. For some reason, I wanted to drink a cup of coffee. This was later in the evening. I believe it was 4, 5, maybe 6. But I drank a large cup of coffee and I vividly remember that night I had so much trouble falling asleep. I would toss and turn in bed and I couldn't figure out why. But after learning about this, I realized that the caffeine that I consumed from the coffee affected my brain and allowing me to fall asleep. As a general rule of thumb, through my research, I've heard that you shouldn't drink caffeine after 3 p.m., which makes sense because if you drink it before, you'll have just enough time to get it out of your system. But don't drink caffeine too close to your bedtime, as that can really ruin how fast you can fall asleep. Tip number 3, practice sleeping at the same time. Look, it helps to go to bed around the same time, so it allows your body to get used to when it needs to go to sleep. And this can allow you to fall asleep a little bit faster. Now, this idea is based around our circadian rhythm, which is our internal 24-hour clock. Now, there's a lot more science to this, but the basic overview is that our circadian rhythm, or our internal clock, tells us when we need to be awake and when we need to go to sleep. Now, our circadian rhythm can change throughout our entire lives, whether that's the type of jobs we have, family, where we live. It changes with us, and not everybody has the same 24-hour clock. But generally, if you are able to fall asleep at the same time and get this in check, it'll allow your body to know exactly when you need to go to sleep. So maybe something that could help you is by starting a little routine before you go to bed. And this is sort of something I'll talk about in the next 2 steps. Now, what you could do to set your 24-hour clock a little more consistent is to maybe start a little routine, such as a wind down period, which is actually our 4th tip. Now, similar to tip number 3, a wind down period allows our circadian rhythm to continue on without any disruptions. Using devices too much during the nighttime can play this trick on our brain that the light that's hitting our eyes is actually sunlight. and it's telling us that it's still daytime and we don't need to sleep. Now our phones, our laptops, tablets have this blue light that will hit our eyes and extend the amount of time that we're awake. And let's be honest, if you're on your phone, your laptop, whatever it is, it gets addictive. And if you're doing that at night, the worst part is you're probably not gonna be scrolling for just a few minutes. So a general rule of thumb that I'll try is to try to wind down from devices 45 minutes to an hour before my actual bedtime. What I'll do is I'll purposely try to take a shower an hour before I want to sleep so I can give myself a break from all the devices without any further temptations. Now the last tip almost gave me a light bulb moment. So let's jump into that. Now my last tip is something a little simpler, and that is to write a little agenda for what you have going on the next day. Now I know, this might seem a little silly, but trust me, from my personal experience, my mind races about the next day at times. And I just can't help it. And the issue is when I'm in bed, my mind just continues to think about what I need to do tomorrow, do this, do that, and it'll keep me up for hours. So what I do now is I'll take a few minutes before I go to bed, I'll write a little to-do list. Now it doesn't have to be on a whiteboard, I just find it more convenient for me to jot it down and erase it at the end of each day. But the idea is to just jot down a few things that'll be on your mind all night and have it there for you so that your mind can relax a little bit and be able to let go of thinking about tomorrow. For this little example, I have work, school, and going to the store. That would have been on my mind whenever I'd go to sleep. With this little method, I've saved myself hours of thinking in bed, and it only takes a few minutes before. So really the pros outweigh the cons with this little simple trick. If you find yourself overthinking in bed, try something like this. You could even try a reflective journal. Write down a few of your thoughts, and it'll allow you to just ease your mind so that you can fall asleep just a little bit faster. Look, full disclaimer, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a licensed medical professional, but what I am is human. And I've learned these things through research, and I've applied it to my life, and it's helped me a great amount fall asleep faster and improve my sleep habits. Now we're all different. We have different circumstances, different environments, different ways our bodies react. But with this video, I thought I could share my tips to help you fall asleep faster. So the next time you're in bed, you'd be able to knock out like